Art Crafty friends, this is card number 36 in Full Deck Challenge 3. I have my postage stamps, which are my constant, and I have them in different shades of pink because that's the colors I'm working with today. And then my carryover item from last week is going to be the alphabet letters. Well, I'm really just going to use one. And then the theme for this week was flowers. So I've just gone into my magazines and collected a whole lot of beautiful pictures in different pinks. And today's card is relatively simple and pretty quick. I did find a lot of beautiful flowers, which I'm not obviously going to use all of them in today's card, but I'm definitely keeping them for a future project. So for my background and the mini collage that we do every week, I'm just going to use text from the magazine. So I've just torn a piece of the page that is just text, and I'm going to tear different size strips. I'm tearing it both in line with the text and also long ways, just so that there's variety. And remember, we don't need to be able to read what's in the background. So it can go upside down and sideways, and you can cut it long ways too. To add some interest in between all that text, I am going to add a little bit of color. I've got this beautiful picture of these pink chrysanthemums. I'm going to add a few strips in between the text. I'm going to start sticking my strips down, and I'm going to use Mod Podge for this. I started by putting them on straight, and then I decided I'm going to put them at a diagonal, just for something different. I'm alternating the pieces, making the text face different directions as I place it down, with the pink flowers in between some of those strips. And then I'm also placing a layer of Mod Podge over everything. Because this is magazine paper, it is a little shiny, so it'll get rid of that shine, and also it'll just protect it so it doesn't tear or become fragile. The prompt for next week is coffee. And it's never too late to join in the Full Deck Challenge. This is Challenge 3. We do have 1 and 2 that I've done in previous years. I will link the playlists to those videos in the description box below. And also, if you're on Facebook, you can join my group there. Just search Full Deck Challenge group. So I've stuck down all my strips and I'm drying it well. I did remember to leave that corner open with the 10 of clubs showing. And then trimming off the excess. Of course, you can also just tear this off or use a ruler to tear it if you want more of a rough look. I am going to add a little bit of white gesso here. I want everything to be pushed more into the background. I think it is a little too bold at the moment, and any focal point we put on top might be drowned out. So just a thin layer of white gesso just here and there. We still want to see that background paper, but we don't want it so bold. Now I need to see what flowers I'm going to use as my focal points. I really love this pink flower with the yellow background, but I don't think it's going to suit today's card. So I'm going to go with these pink flowers. There's sort of different shades of pink. I'm just going to fussy cut around the flowers. I'm not going to include any of the green. It's just the pinks that I want. I think that is going to look gorgeous. I love these colors. I just need something in the top right hand corner too, so I'm going to cut out one of the other flowers to add there. Do you see how that creates balance? And then I'm going to add one of my postage stamps in the top right too. I'm just going to use one postage stamp for this card this week, and I've gone with one of the darker pinks to match with the roses on the bottom left. I'm sticking down my magazine flowers with some Mod Podge. And then once that's all dry, we're going to trim off all the excess flowers. I'm going to add a sentiment. I feel it needs it just to fill it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's a little too plain. I'm going to go with the white with the black text, and I'm going to do it more on the bottom right, as I feel it goes best there. Now, the sentiment that I used or chose is a little too long, so I'm just going to cut it down actually into 4 sections. I started by cutting it into 2, but then I thought it'll look better if it's shorter and more stacked. So I've cut it into 4, and then I'm just adding a little bit of glue stick just to make sure it sticks down well. Even though it is a sticker, sometimes it doesn't stick great because I've got Mod Podge and gesso in the background there. A little bit of glue will make sure it sticks and doesn't come off. And then I nearly forgot my carryover item, which was the alphabet letter. I had randomly picked a W, but I decided to rather choose an S. An S for Shanouki, or maybe for spring. It's spring here in Australia. And I've covered it with gesso, and while I wait for that to dry, I'm just going to go around my sentiments with a black pen just to make them stand out a little bit more. And then I'm also going to go around the card with that black pen, but not where the flowers are, just any other area. I feel this sort of just locks everything in. I'm going to use an acrylic marker pen in a dark pink. I'm going to do a couple of layers and dry in between. So I'm just going to pull that off the paper that I stuck on, and then I'm going to glue that down. I do sometimes find it hard to incorporate my carryover item, depending what it is. And sometimes, like today, I nearly forgot. And if you ever have, that is totally okay. I love that. I love that the color pink, it sort of just still makes it blend in to the whole of the focal point, the florals, but it's sort of its own element too. I think that worked out great. Here is a close-up so you can see all the details. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this week's video. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you were inspired to create your own card or maybe even join the Full Deck Challenge. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.